Hello and welcome to the Indy Sports Network. I am your host, Jewel, and today we are going to take a look at our ISN monthly highlight. This is a series dedicated to highlighting, showcasing, and singing the praises of the athletes, promotions, and sports within the realm of small business athletics. Before we get started, be sure to follow us on TikTok and Instagram for content just like this, and be sure to like and subscribe and hit the bell icon for notifications to keep up to date on all ISN content. This month, we will be looking at a sport that blends combat with history. If you've ever been to medieval times, heard the legends of King Arthur and his Round Table, read of the Knights Templar, went to a Renaissance fair, or really consumed anything related to medieval Europe, you would know of the knight, a warrior covered in thick metal armor who swore an oath to guard the king or noble that they were bound to. A favorite activity of the knights were tournaments, mock melee battles amongst each other in a festival put on display for all the region to see. These tournaments drew such excitement that they are still fought by knights of the modern era to this very day. For the month of June 2022, ISN is proud to present Armored Combat! To get into Armored Combat, we need to go over the history of melee combat sports. Modern fans of combat sports are all aware of fighting with the body alone, such as boxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, etc. However, there are many other sports that incorporate a melee weapon, including fencing, kendo, and pillow fighting, a sport we may cover in a later video. Historical medieval battles, also known as Battered, originated in Russia and introduced heavy armor melee combat to modern audiences by mixing in elements of historical European martial arts, or HEMA, and judo. From there it spread all around the world, including America, where it would be more commonly known as armored combat, where it became a catch-all term. Armored combat can be a one-on-one or team contest where combatants are brought into a fenced-in arena of various sizes, armed with weapons and armor from the late 13th to the early 17th century, such as swords, shields, axes, and polearms. Opponents will fight each other using their weapons as well as hand-to-hand combat moves and grappling tactics in order to force their opponent to the ground, overpower them, force a technical knockout, or go to the judges' scorecards to declare a winner of the contest. While the weapons and armor are expected to be period accurate, they certainly aren't relics themselves, nor are they sharpened, as fighters work on blunt damage rather than piercing or slashing. Fighters can commission blacksmiths to create the equipment. This certainly isn't cheap, however, as a US-made gear set and weapon can run anywhere from $3,500 to $5,000 and may take up to 2 months to make. Commissioning non-US makers tends to cut the cost and time in half thanks to more experienced blacksmiths in European regions and cheaper labor costs. Some fighters may also learn to create their own gear or use lender or rental gear. Many creators of gear for the sport hail from Ukraine, so be sure to support them, especially in the current climate, including Battered Technologies and Armory Smith. The community of armored combat comes from all sorts of backgrounds, from military, MMA, LARP practitioners, and people with a love of history find their way into armored combat, among all kinds of backgrounds that surround the community and its people. Several creators involved with Armored Combat include Beer Battered Thoughts, Samuel Ride, Simply Samurai, Saint Leafy, Partanaroja, Moto Knight, and Staff Sergeant Jackman. Thank you to all these creators who were able to help me with the research for this video. The largest armored combat gym in the United States is Nashville Armored Combat, which is both a training and events center. Other armored combat training groups and teams include Armored Combat Northwest, I Love Battered, Gladiators NYC, Mortal Historical Combat in Mesa, Arizona, and Salt Lake City Crusaders. Thank you to all these creators as well for helping me with the research for this video project. Armored Combat Sports and Historical Medieval Battles USA are North American leagues, and Armored Combat Worldwide and the International Medieval Combat Federation are worldwide leagues, holding tournaments and events with registered organized teams based on region and chapters within that region. One of the most prominent event holders for armored combat bouts, as well as being a nurturing place for athletes of the sport, is the Society for Creative Anachronism, or SCA, a non-profit educational troupe that recreates the pre-17th century world, night battles included. You may also see fighters at your local Ren Fair, putting on local tournaments or events, or even at conventions. The community of armored combat is one of the fastest growing in the realm of small business athletics, as more and more eyes fall upon the sport all around the world, as it provides something new and exciting in athletics, as well as a diverse, welcoming, and engaging community behind the armor. More still, armored combat as a whole is on the verge of evolution. Nashville Armored Combat is currently in the works of streaming their tournaments for a local major network next year. Seto Gesshuko, one of the most influential people in the sport, has expressed interest in creating a site that will continue to discuss the evolution and development into different avenues of armored combat. The next step in the evolution of armored combat could be just around the corner, and the Indy Sports Network will be there to document its growth and its success. Thank you to all the creators who were able to help me with this project. Links to their social media and other pages relating to them will be found in the description below. Thank you again. And thank you for tuning in to the Indy Sports Network. I've been your host, Jewel, and be sure to like and subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications, and I will see you all next time.